Hey everyone, and welcome to this special deep dive tailored just for you Vintage Car Chronicles listeners. Today, we're going to really get into it with a car that might seem a bit unassuming at first glance.
Yeah.
But trust me, the Citroën Xsara WRC. It's got a story that's anything but ordinary.
You got that right. It's amazing how looks can be deceiving. I mean, who would have thought this seemingly humble car would become a total legend in the world of rally racing?
I know, right? And get this, the story of this rally champion actually starts with, get this, a two-wheel drive car.
Yeah, the Xsara Kit-Car. What a story, David, taking on the Goliaths. Just picture it, a super stripped-down, lightweight car built for tarmac going up against and beating the top-tier four-wheel drive world rally cars.
It does sound like something out of a fairy tale, right?
Yeah.
But here's the thing. This wasn't just some fluke, beginner's luck. The Xsara Kit-Car was cleverly engineered. I mean, they took full advantage of the regulations at the time. Citroën knew exactly what they were doing.
Oh, absolutely. And that's a key part of this whole story. Citroen's success with the kit car, that wasn't just luck. It was a sign of their attention to detail, their engineering, and it was a preview of what was to come with the four-wheel drive Xsara WRC. They didn't just stumble onto a winning formula, they created it.
Okay, so
Yeah.
they got this winning two-wheel drive car.
Yeah.
But how do they make that jump to the big leagues, to the World Rally Championship with a four-wheel drive car?
Well, this is where it gets really interesting. Instead of just rushing into the WRC Citroën, they took their time. They actually created their own French racing category, almost like a controlled environment, to test and refine the four-wheel drive Xsara.
So they built their own proving grounds to perfect the car before unleashing it on the world that's dedication.
Exactly. It shows how committed they were to getting it right. By the time the Xsara WRC showed up in 2001, it wasn't just another rally car, it was a finely tuned machine ready to dominate.
And dominated it did. But before we get into all those victories, we got to talk about the driver who became synonymous with the Xsara WRC, a young Sébastien Loeb. Imagine a young Loeb fresh off a Junior World Rally Championship win, and Citroën takes a chance on him, making him their lead driver.
It really is remarkable. They saw Loeb's potential before he became a household name, and they paired him with this amazing piece of machinery, the Xsara WRC, which, with its advanced tech like electronically controlled differentials, was the perfect match for his aggressive driving style.
For those who might not be super familiar with rally car tech, can you break down electronically controlled differentials and why they were such a game changer?
Well, imagine you're taking a corner at high speed, right? A traditional differential splits the power evenly between the wheels, which can make the inside wheels spin out. But an electronically controlled differential can adjust the power on the fly, sending more power to the wheel that has grip bit. It allows for insane agility and control.
Okay, that makes sense. So it's like having a mini computer managing the car's traction.
Yeah.
So you have this revolutionary car and this incredibly talented but kind of unknown driver. What happens next?
Well, what happens next is history in the making. Loeb and the Xsara WRC, they become a force to be reckoned with, racking up an unbelievable 32 victories and 3 consecutive manufacturer titles for Citroën. And of course, Loeb wins 3 consecutive drivers' championships. He becomes a legend.
See, 32 victories, that's insane.
It is. And it wasn't just luck. The Xsara WRC was consistently at the top. In 2004, Loeb won a record-breaking 10 rallies in one season. Nobody has matched that to this day.
Wow. This car and driver were unstoppable. And then there was that dramatic final stage victory in Japan in 2006, where Loeb got his third world title, cementing his place as one of the most successful rally drivers ever.
All behind the wheel of that Xsara WRC. It's a real testament to the car and the amazing synergy between car and driver.
Now, for all you Vintage Car Chronicles fans out there, I know you appreciate the finer details that make a car special. So let's dig a little deeper into the heart of the Xsara WRC. What made this seemingly ordinary car such a powerful rally machine?
This is where we get into the mechanics behind the wins. The Xsara WRC wasn't just about raw power, it was a masterpiece of engineering and innovation. At its core was a 2-liter turbocharged engine, but that was just the beginning.
Okay, so we have a powerful engine. What else? Give us the good stuff, the secrets that made this car stand out.
One of the Xsara WRC's greatest assets was its incredible balance and handling Citroën. They designed it with weight distribution, aerodynamics, and even brake cooling in mind. They were obsessed with every single detail, always pushing the boundaries of what was possible.
And I remember reading they weren't afraid to make bold choices, even if it went against conventional wisdom. Like in 2006, when they switched from electronically controlled differentials back to mechanical ones. You'd think that'd be a step back. But Loeb actually said it improved the car's handling.
Yeah, and that's what makes the Xsara WRC story so interesting. It wasn't just about sticking to the status quo, it was about constant evolution and refinement, always looking for that edge. They weren't ever satisfied with good enough. They wanted the best, and they experimented to achieve it.
It's like they were playing chess with car parts, making strategic moves to outmaneuver the competition.
That's a great way to put it. And it highlights the brilliant minds behind the Xsara WRC. They weren't just mechanics, they were artists, creating a masterpiece of speed and agility.
This deep dive is making me want to get on a racing simulator and feel the thrill of driving this car for myself. It's one thing to hear about the victories, but it's another to understand the passion and ingenuity that went into creating this remarkable machine.
And that's the beauty of these classic cars. It's about appreciating the wins, but also the journey, the challenges, the people who put their hearts into making them legends. And, it wasn't just Loeb who had success with the Xsara WRC. Other drivers like Jesus Porras, Carlos Sainz, and Francois Duval all achieved victories behind the wheel of this thing.
So it wasn't just a Loeb car. It truly was a versatile machine that could adapt to different driving styles and get results that really speaks volumes about the engineering and design behind it.
It does, and it's interesting to think about how the regulations at the time played a role in the car's success back then. The rules allowed for those complex electronically controlled differentials, which, like we talked about, could be really tough to master, but had huge potential for fine-tuning the performance.
I think I read somewhere that even Loeb himself found them a bit tricky at first. It's like trying to conduct an orchestra of mechanical components, making sure everything's working in harmony to get the max performance.
Exactly. There were so many variables, so many ways to adjust the car depending on the track, the weather, the drive. It was a constant dance between driver and machine.
And that's what makes it so fascinating to me. It wasn't just about power, it was about finesse, about understanding those nuances and pushing the limits.
And Citroën, they were masters at that, constantly learning, refining, always looking for that extra edge. Remember the switch back to mechanical differentials in 2006 that shows how willing they were to experiment and adapt.
It really does show they weren't afraid to challenge the norm and try something different, even if it seemed counterintuitive. And the fact that it worked. Loeb actually preferred the mechanical diffs. It speaks volumes about their understanding of the car and commitment to improvement.
This constant evolution, that cycle of innovation and refinement, it's the heart of motorsport. It's about never settling for good enough, always striving for better, faster, more agile. And the Xsara WRC embodies that.
It wasn't a one-hit wonder. It was the result of years of development testing, pushing boundaries. And it's that dedication, that pursuit of excellence that makes the Xsara WRC such a compelling story even now.
With all the technical stuff involved, sometimes it's the human element that makes these stories come alive.
Oh, absolutely. Like that story from the 2000 Safari Rally. Loeb was winning by a mile, but then the suspension started to go under that crazy African terrain.
Yeah.
Imagine the frustration, the determination to keep going.
I get chills just thinking about it. They were so close to winning, but the conditions were brutal. It was a test of man and machine.
And it wasn't just the car being pushed to its limits. Apparently, Loeb was in so much pain from the rough ride, his co-driver, Daniel Elena, offered to take the wheel. Can you imagine the grit it takes to compete at that level, to push through that kind of stress?
It's mind-boggling. It shows the spirit of rally racing, that determination of the drivers, and how resilient these cars are. That story really highlights how tough the Xsara WRC was. It wasn't just fast, it was built to conquer anything.
And think about the lessons learned from experiences like that, the hard-won insights they feed back into the design process, leading to better engineering, better performance, even more stories.
It's a cycle. It reminds us that the Xsara WRC's story isn't just about winning. It's about the journey, the challenges, the constant pursuit of improvement for the car and the people.
It's a story of human ingenuity and perseverance, a testament to collaboration and pushing limits.
And for car enthusiasts like us, it's a reminder that sometimes the most unassuming machines can do amazing things.
It's about looking deeper, appreciating the details that make each car unique, understanding that true greatness often comes from the unseen, the hours of work that create a legend.
Well said, and I think the Xsara WRC is a perfect example of why we love these cars. They're not just cars, they're history innovation, the spirit of competition.
Their stories, and the Xsara WRC with its wins and its appeal, it's a story that should be shared and celebrated.
Absolutely. And on that note, maybe it's time we start wrapping up this deep dive into the Citroën Xsara WRC.
Yeah, but before we do, I have to ask, we've talked about how dominant it was in its day, but do you think even with its older tech, the Xsara WRC could hold its own against today's rally cars?
That's a great question. It's hard to say for sure. The sport has changed. The cars are way more advanced. The competition is tougher. But
But there's something about the Xsara WRC, That raw, almost analog feel that makes me wonder it wasn't overloaded with computers and sensors. It was a driver's car, a machine that responded to skill.
There's a certain purity to that, a connection between driver and machine that you might not find as much today with all the high-tech stuff.
Maybe we need a classic rally showdown. Put the Xsara WRC up against some modern cars now. That would be something to see.
Now that's an idea I can get behind. Imagine seeing those different eras of engineering going head-to-head. It would be a sight.
Oh, man, that would be amazing.
Yeah.
Old school grit versus modern tech. Maybe the Xsara would surprise us all.
Yeah.
Okay, enough daydreaming for us.
Right back to reality. But I think that just shows how much of an impact the Xsara WRC had. It captured everyone's imagination then, and it still makes people wonder, what if?
It's a testament to its legacy.
Yeah.
It wasn't just a rally car. It was an icon. It made people fall in love with rallying again.
And it solidified Citroën's spot in motorsport history. They weren't just making cars, they were building legends.
For all of you listening in from Vintage Car Chronicles, this deep dive has been a real treat. We covered a lot, from those underdog beginnings with the Xsara Kit-Car to those amazing victories in the WRC.
It has been a journey, and I think it shows why we all love classic cars so much. They're not just machines, they're time capsules, full of stories of innovation and dedication that drive for excellence.
So well said. And the Xsara WRC, with all that power and innovation and the human element, it's a story that deserves to be told over and over again.
It really does. It's a reminder that even in this world of high-tech racing, the human element is still so important. The driver, the engineers, the mechanics, they all play a huge part in these stories of success and pushing the limits.
And sometimes those big wins, they come from the most unexpected places. Who would have thought a car like the Xsara WRC would become such a legend?
It's a great lesson. Never underestimate the power of passion and ingenuity and taking a few risks. You never know. Maybe the next classic car is being built right now, ready to surprise us all and make its own mark on history.
I like that.
Mm-hmm.
And on that note, we want to say a huge thank you to all of you for joining us on this special deep dive brought to you by Vintage Car Chronicles. Make sure to check out their daily content for even more great car stories.
And until next time, keep that passion for classic cars going.
And keep on diving deep.